Hey everyone. So the next macromolecule we're going to be talking about is proteins. So this is going to be the part of the food label we are focusing on next. So first of all, I want you to be able to chemically recognize what protein is. So protein is another macromolecule. It's another organic compound, which means it's made primarily of carbon and hydrogen. But there is one unique part of protein that is not on any other macromolecule and that we have not talked about yet. And that is that proteins have a functional group called an amine. Like I said, we haven't talked about these yet. But what's nice is amines are really easy to recognize because amines are just nitrogens. And we also haven't even talked about nitrogen in a compound yet, so things are getting crazy. So basically, if you see the letter N anywhere, I didn't even try that, anywhere on a structure that is called an amine, and that is going to be a clue to you that this has to do something with proteins. You don't have to worry about naming it or drawing it, you just need to be able to recognize it. So proteins are everywhere. Basically, a majority of your body is made up of protein. Enzymes, hair, nails, DNA, muscles, skin, hormones. This sounds morbid, but if we were to make a nutritional label of our bodies, the main macromolecule our bodies are composed of is protein. It's one of the main things that make us who we are. So as you can imagine, it is crucial to our diet. And again, flashback to biology here. Since proteins are kind of the building blocks of everything, the individual building blocks of those proteins are called amino acids. And if you want to look at that name for a second, amino acid, here's the breakdown of the name. I just told you that proteins have amines in them, which is the N, and that is where the name amino comes from. And then the other thing that is on amino acids is a carboxylic acid, which, throwback to last unit, is that carbon with an OH and a double bonded O on it. So that is where the acid part of the name amino acid comes from. So we call amino acids because they have amines and carboxylic acids on them. So that's where the chemistry is kind of playing in here. Interesting fact, there are 20 total amino acids in existence. So here's what's crazy. Think about how complicated you are. Okay, well, your bodily structure, maybe not you as an individual, maybe. There's only 20 amino acids. There's only 20 building blocks that make up you. So like the difference between your hair and your calf muscle is a different combination of 20 different compounds. And those 20 compounds are only made up of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and a little bit of sulfur. Only 5 elements. Like when you really break it down, it's really kind of simplifyingly beautiful to a certain extent. At least I think so. Another word you need to know is peptide bond. This is a very special bond, a very strong bond that holds amino acids together. It's what links them up. And here's how they link up. I like to think of amino acids kind of like Legos. Okay, so like the fun toys that you hopefully did or maybe still play with. What's fascinating about Legos, okay, old Legos, new Legos, whatever, is they all have those little grooves on them. So they've got the grooves on the bottom and then the little circles on the top. So any Lego can fit on any Lego, even if it's like a tiny Lego or a big Lego or a sheet of Legos. That's the whole point, is no matter what Lego you have, they should all be able to connect because they have the same bottom and the same top. And that's what that amine and carboxylic acid functional group works with proteins. Because every amino acid has a carboxylic acid, and every amino acid has an amine. It's kind of like how every Lego has a top and a bottom. So essentially, remember that condensation reaction I talked about before? When we hear condensation, we hear water. An OH and an H pop off of 2 amino acids, and they go ahead and go make water. That's the condensation part of this. So the OH is from the carboxylic acid and the H is from the amine. So there's that nitrogen, right, that amine group. So they go make water, and then the carbon and nitrogen that are left over bond and form this really, really special peptide bond. So it's this really strong bond that holds amino acids together and then therefore creates all proteins. So regardless of the amino acid that you've got, remember there's 20 of them, they all have these same linkages, and that's why they can all link up to one another. So I said there's 20 of them, right? Boom. Here they are. These are your 20 amino acids. Notice that they all look fairly different from one another, but they all have the same couple things in common. They all have the carboxylic acid, this CoO, okay? The CoO, that is the carbon double bonded OH, written in like a condensed formula. So they just kind of smushed it together and wrote COOH, CoO. So they all have this carboxylic acid on them. Do you notice that? And then they all have this amine on them. And remember, an amine is just a nitrogen. So for some of them, it looks a little bit different. Where's a funny looking one? Like that one's a little funny looking. But they all have these same linkages. And that's why they can all do this condensation reaction, which means they can all form a peptide bond, which means they can all connect and make your hair grow and your nails grow and your muscles grow and make you the special, unique individual that you are. So that's how these all kind of work and fit together in a chemistry context. So how does this translate to food? Okay, so as you know, protein is a macromolecule that is found in our food, and we need to eat it because a lot of who we are is a protein. So here's what's interesting. So I said there's 20 total amino acids, right? Well, humans produce 11 of them. So there's 20 in total. Our bodies make 11 all by itself. But if you do the math, that's not the full 20. So there are 9 essential amino acids. 9 essential amino acids. And the reason we refer to them as being essential amino acids is because they are essential to our diet. Meaning, because our bodies do not make them, we need to eat them. We need to have all 20 available. Okay, that's what makes us, all the different parts of our body, unique and different from one another, is all these different building blocks. So if we make 11, we need the other 9. We get the other 9 from our food. They are essential to our diet. Therefore, they are the essential amino acids. So there's 2 sources of protein that you can get these essential amino acids from: complete proteins and incomplete proteins. Complete proteins are defined as the proteins that have all 9 essential amino acids. So basically you eat this, nom nom, and with that serving of food, you've not provided your body with the 9 essential amino acids it needs to get to the full 20. And these are usually the foods that you think of that are high in protein. So meats, cheeses, basically what comes to mind for me is like animal products. So animal products tend to be really high in protein. Because if we're primarily protein, so are animals, right? With the muscle and all that stuff. So if you eat an animal product, you're going to get all 9 essential amino acids. But one thing that's interesting, and this is why I have this stupid meme on here, is one thing if you are vegan or vegetarian that a lot of people get crap for is not getting enough protein. And what's interesting is, yes, animal products are high in protein and they have all 9 essential amino acids. But a plant product that is also a complete protein is soy. And what is a very common meat substitute? Tofu. What's tofu made out of? Soy. So if you are eating tofu, you're getting all 9 essential amino acids and you're getting all the protein that you need. And I want to be clear when I'm saying all the protein you need, I don't mean like you eat like 1 cube of tofu and like you're set for like a month. Like this is something that needs to be a key part of your continuous diet, but you actually do not need animal products to have a healthy, balanced diet. There's other ways you can get that. Also, by eating incomplete proteins. So incomplete proteins are missing at least 1. And these are nuts, seeds, grains, basically plant products, if you want to think about it that way. And what that means is that doesn't mean they don't have a lot of protein. They just don't have all 9 essential amino acids. So really that only becomes an issue if you choose to only eat peanuts for the rest of your life as your source of protein. But like that's it, like no other source of protein other than a peanut for the rest of your life, because that peanut's not going to have all 9 essential amino acids. So if you're eating a variety of nuts, seeds, grains, throwing in some tofu in there, you're getting a wide array of sources of protein, therefore completing all 9 essential amino acids that you need. So complete proteins have all 9, incomplete proteins are missing 1 of the 9. There are 9 essential amino acids because our body makes 11, and that totals to the 20 that exist. And one of the last things you need to be able to do is to look at a molecule and recognize is this an amino acid or a protein. Now, like we've been talking about, amino acids make proteins, right? Amino acids form that peptide bond and they link together to build a protein. So essentially an amino acid is just one amino acid and a protein is lots of amino acids. So the way that you can identify this is, remember, amino acids have the amine and the carboxylic acid. So you're going to be looking for that nitrogen and then on top of it that carboxylic acid. A protein, since it's made up of amino acids, is basically going to have a lot of those. So if you look at this, do you notice how there's an amine group here, an amine group here, and an amine group here? On this one, amine, 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 amine. Down here, oh my gosh, there's so many. I'm losing track. Okay. So proteins are going to have a bunch of those amine groups. And also these acids too. Notice these double bonded O's. Okay, those are part of the carboxylic acids, these guys. But the key is protein is going to have a lot of them. An amino acid is just going to have one of them because a protein is a lot of amino acids linked together. And that's proteins.